And so without further ado, time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. It is time.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans.
Yeah. Oh, we're shooting today. What about that Chael P on Wednesday? No, on Monday. He was here on Monday. Wow, what an appearance.
You even wrote the show notes for today. You're like, for Monday.
Oh, did I do that?
You got your whole week messed up.
Jeez.
It's on the nose.
I'm already
to answer your
looking
ahead.
Well, you know, we're going to Miami
because here he is,
for the big wedding.
Ariel Helwani.
And I got to be honest, with that snow coming down yesterday, I was like, get me to Miami, Frank. Get me to the 305. I'm going to scope it out because, of course, the UFC is going there in April. So I'm just going to make sure that everything's okay, you know, for everyone.
As one does.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I'm a mensch like that. And speaking of that word, reminds me now of our good friend Rick G. the Prophet, who came out with his single entitled The MMA Hour. Yes. Shower me, Frank. Oh, what a mensch, this guy. Anyway, how about that song? And how about the fact, did you see this tweet from Rick G. the Prophet? Rick G. the Prophet, I asked him, he said, you know, you guys help me out. I'm stuck in my office for 10 hours, no windows. I listen to you guys every Monday and Wednesday. Thank you. So I asked him, what exactly do you do for a living? Did you see this tweet, Frank?
I actually didn't see that tweet.
I'm a chemical extraction technician. I use chemical solvents like butane to extract using a machine called a closed-loop system. I work in a custom-built room per state law because I use these chemical solvents, thus the no windows, but my real passion is music. Fun fact, I wrote that song in this very room. How about that? A chemical extraction technician. I mean, this guy's he's a freaking genius. He's a freaking genius. Anyway, it's up now. Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your songs. Big honor for us that he made that song. All right, let's get to the questions. Cheeto Pancakes up first. What is up, Ariel? He always spells my name differently, this guy. This time it's A-I-R-Y space L, period. Ariel? I guess that's Ariel. Couldn't be more excited about this Saturday's fights, mostly because of just how deep the entire card is. If you had the opportunity to watch one of the main card bouts, just one, excluding the main event, Jones-Gane, which fight would you choose and why? Which is the most intriguing and most must-watch of the bunch? Of course, the other four fights, excluding the main event, Jon Jones, Gane, Shevchenko, Grasso, Garbrandt, Turner, Neil Rachmanov, Nickel, Pickett. I got to tell you something, and please, for the love of God, clip this off. This is such a good card. This is an amazing card. This is one of my favorite cards in a very long time. More often than not, we are getting good pay-per-views. And, you know, more often than not, there's 1, 2, 3 good fights at the top. You know, that was the case, I would say, back in December. That was the case. Well, the December one got hurt with the Yuri injury. But, you know, November, the January card, even the Australia pay-per-view back in February. This one, you can make a case for the top 10 fights on this card, starting with the Ian Gary fight all the way up, and Ian Gary's on the early prelims, all the way up to the main event. Every single fight of the 10, every single fight has a purpose, has a storyline attached to it. Every single fight has meaning, has something that is intriguing about it. And that's not often the case. Let me read them to you. Ian Gary, Keenan Song. Julian Marquez, Marc-André Barriault, Viviane Araujo, Amanda Ribas, Dricus du Plessis, Derek Brunson, Cody Garbrandt, Trevin Jones. And then it's the 5 that I mentioned on the main card. I love this card. I love everything about this card. And so regarding the one question that this man just asked us, if we were to exclude the main and could only watch one fight on the main card, which would it be? I'm going with Bo Nickel versus Mr. Pickett. And the reason for that is Bo Nickel to me is must-see TV. I want to see if he can finish someone in the first round. I want to see just how good he can be. This to me is just a part of the building of Bo Nickel. Like he's probably going to win, and he's probably going to win dominantly. But like, you know, they've had some hot prospects come in, you know, like an Ian Gary, who haven't had those amazing showings, dominant showings, or even Patty early on. Like he got clipped once, he wins. Let's see if he can continue his pristine, you know, fighting record, if you will. Khamzat-esque in the fact that he takes no damage. Now, every single fight on this main card is the right answer. You talk about Shevchenko, pissed off Shevchenko with the massive chip on her shoulder, calling Blanchfield the puppy. You talk about Grasso getting her opportunity to realize her dream. Gamrot Turner is an amazing fight. Gamrot Turner is a fight night main event. I love that fight. Gamrot, veteran, KSW, double champ. Jalen Turner, unbelievable. 6'3", 155 pounds. Are you kidding me? The tarantula. Love that gimmick. The return of Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's Khamzat 2.0 in terms of fighting style, doesn't have the personality just yet, but is as dominant and as good. I mean, you can't go wrong. I'll go with Bo Nickel. What about you, GC?
Shavkat, Geoff Neal.
That's your pick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if Shavkat just walks through him, if he dominates like the way he has been, I mean, the sky's the limit for the dude. It's similar to that the Khamzat Burns fight back in April of last year. I can't wait for it.
Geoff Neal looked good in his last fight.
Geoff Neal looked great in his last fight, and then Shavkat has obviously looked fantastic every single time he's gone out. So can't wait for that one.
All right, Blaine Miller asks, Ariel and crew, hope it's a great day in New York for y'all. With Jon Jones making his heavyweight debut, I am curious, is there any fight throughout Jon Jones' career at light heavyweight you would have wanted to see that never happened? Blessings. Wow. What a question. Honestly, that wasn't where I thought you were going with that one. Fight at light heavy. I mean, he pretty much fought everyone. Was there ever talk for a brief second of Anderson versus him? Nah, not really. At light heavyweight, no. Honestly, no. I mean, he really fought a who's who. And, you know, that's part of what people are saying going into this fight. He lost motivation. The challenges weren't as challenging. I don't necessarily buy into all of that. Dominic Reyes was, you know, looking very good going into their fight in February of 2020, as was Thiago Santos. But no, we saw the rematch with Gustafsson. We saw the rematch with DC. We saw the Glover fight. Obviously, the early fights, Rashad, Lyoto, Shogun, Rampage, those were all big fights. At light heavyweight, no. I don't think there's anyone that you could say like, damn, I wish we would have seen him. And as far as other promotions go, not really either. Connor from Canada. Hey, Ariel, with the MMA GOAT taking on a tough test this weekend, wanted to get your thoughts on how you think losses affect fighters' legacies. So many greats stay on way too long. For example, I think Anderson would be more widely considered in the GOAT convo if he retired back in 2012. Geez, 11 years ago. But you can also make the case that losses don't take anything away from past wins, and you should get props for trying, i.e., Folk Islam. If Jones loses this weekend, does that damage his legacy or does it not matter? Listen, if he wins, it's just further proof that, yes, he is the greatest of all time. You know, the two things that I always say there's three things that I say. When people ask me who's the greatest of all time, I say, all right, is everything included? Meaning, are there no asterisks? If you failed the drug test, are you still allowed to be in this discussion? If the answer is yes, Jon Jones is number one all time. There's no doubt about that. If the answer is no, GSP is number one. And why do I say GSP? Never failed the drug test, avenged every loss, and won a belt in two different weight classes. But if you're saying everyone is available, there are no asterisks, it's Jon Jones. And if now he adds a second title in a higher weight class, which is what we were asking of him throughout the tail end of his last run, there's no debate. There's no debate whatsoever. Again, I understand for newer fans, you may look at Shogun, Lyoto, Rampage, Ryan Bader, these guys, and say like, okay, what's the big deal? These were the best. It's one of the greatest runs ever, especially for a champion who was 23, youngest champion. By the way, that record still stands some, 12 years later. It's an incredible legacy. And I was talking to my good friend Bill Simmons yesterday, little name drop there. And what I usually like to do is compare Jon Jones to Dwight Gooden or Darryl Strawberry. But he brought up another comparison, which I think is even better than Gooden and Strawberry. American sports fans, North American sports fans will get this. He's more Lawrence Taylor than he is those guys, because those guys, while they did win in 1986 with the Mets, it always felt like they never realized their potential. The magic of Jon Jones is that he is the best despite all the demons, despite all the transgressions. He was able to overcome all of that with his God-given ability, his amazing talents. Despite what he was doing, I shudder to think just how much better he would have been had this not been an issue, but that's his life. Lawrence Taylor, very much like that. 2-time Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest defensive players of all time, NFL history, New York Giants, but had the demons, had the transgressions as well. So that's the better comparison. Now we wonder, at some point, is the rubber going to meet the road? And I think part of the reason why the last 3 fights were not as incredible as the earlier fights, number one, people start to catch up to you. They start to figure you out. There's enough footage on you out there. Your uniqueness is not as unique. That's number one. Number two, you get older, father time undefeated. Number three, the talent, as you get older and there are more transgressions, like the talent can't supersede all of that as much. They start to even out. And so my question is, among the many that I can't wait to find the answer to on Saturday night, where is he at as far as this scale is concerned? Is he 100% clean and treating his body like a temple and staying out of trouble and not doing extra stuff? Because if he is, look out. If he's still doing that game, at some point he's not going to be able to get away with it. Is he going up to heavyweight because he doesn't have to cut weight or because he wants that challenge? Does Ciryl Gane give him that challenge? Or is the challenge just making history, legacy at heavyweight? Because choice number 1 was Francis. Choice number 2 was Stipe. Ciryl was choice 3 for him and for the UFC. So there's a lot there that I can't wait to see the answer. I see a lot of people offering excuses for the last 3 fights, and I think we'll find out whether those are legit excuses or not on Saturday. Again, Father Time is undefeated. And the last time we saw a situation like this, it was George St-Pierre coming back after a 4.5 or 4-year layoff against Michael Bisping here in New York at MSG, UFC 217. He was moving up after the layoff. Very similar, but there are a few differences. Number one, Bisping at that point in his career wasn't who Ciryl Gane is now. Bisping had the one eye issue, much older. Ciryl Gane is 32. I think we talk about Ciryl like he's some young buck, but he's actually older than Cody Garbrandt, believe it or not. 32, but still like pretty fresh in his UFC run. GSP, we assume, and just by looking at him and knowing him and looking at his social media, like not the kind of guy who's out there doing crazy things, not the kind of guy who's letting himself go, not the kind of guy who's cheating on his diet and all this stuff. What's John been doing the last 3 years? We're about to find out. GSP looked pretty damn good at 85. How's John going to look? How's he going to look and feel with that extra weight? But all this is amazing theater. All this is a gift from the gods. All this is like, how lucky are we that arguably the greatest of all time in our sport is coming back? You know, the greatest of all time in a lot of other sports isn't playing, right? So this is fun, and it's a new challenge, and it's a new look, and it's a new chapter. And so, yeah, I echo the excitement. Jack C. I thought Chael was working when he downplayed Jones Gane. Other than losing to Francis, Gane has had a meteoric rise. And just seeing Bones again is must-see TV. Agree. While there might not be 5-star contenders for Gane or Jones to face afterwards, I mean, you do have Stipe, if he is coming back, waiting in the wings for either guy, right? I mean, that's a big fight. Maybe, you know, International Fight Week or August, something like that. There will still be many fun matchups, such as Pavlovich, Blades, Aspinall, Ty, Derek Lewis versus Jones would be must-see TV. Where do you see the heavyweight division a year from now? Who's rising to the top? And are there any unknowns we could see who would present themselves over the next year? Well, first of all, I mean, let's not sleep on our good friend. Let's see if Frank is listening. There he is. There he is. Yeah, he is the guy, in my opinion. And if he comes back looking, feeling, fighting like he was before the injury, look out. But yes, you have Ciryl. I think Stipe has 1 fight left in him. And that would be the winner of this fight. 1 more chance to become champion and ride off into the sunset. Pavlovich is a major player. Curtis Blades. The top 4, very tough. Then you got Sergey Spivak, tough. Tuivasa is always going to be a tough out. And then you've got the Jairzinhos and the Volkovs of the world. and slowly but surely coming up is the Jalton Almeidas of the world. So yeah, no, top 4, top 5, very interesting. There's some people coming up. Aspinall, Almeida, I think are 2 people that a lot of people think will be major players in a year or so, if not sooner. So yeah, this is all very fun. Mr. Noir, blessings Ariel and the MMA Hour crew. What a great weekend for MMA/combat sports. I always love it when we get a trifecta of MMA events, one, Bellator, UFC. In your opinion, who would you say had the best moment in terms of their career changing and maybe just overall emotional, knowing their backstory from the weekend? Would also love to hear GC's thoughts, Rick's thoughts, Frank's thoughts, and their opinion too, if possible. These are the options. I will just say off the top, it's Yaroslav Almost for me, considering what he's, been through over the past year and then winning and then the way they, honored him and treated him. That to me was number one. Fabricio Andrade, he mentions, beats John Lineker in the rematch for the ONE FC Bantamweight Championship after no contest in their first championship fight. Tremendous. Great performance, great fight. Maybe the best fight of the weekend. Andrade, somewhat of an unknown, but a solid fight. Amasov, he mentions Tatiana Suarez returning after the 3-year layoff, and then Tommy Fury. Wishing you and the crew nothing but health, wealth, peace of mind. Thank you as always for all you do for us MMA fans. My pick would be Amasov. What about you, GC, from this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the best moment was Amasov with everything he's gone through over the last, year.
Yeah.
In total. Best fight for me, though, was the Andrade fight.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Fireworks with Lineker.
New York Rick, who is still under the weather, says it's Tatiana Suarez because, that's a great story and a great moment. Maybe didn't get the fanfare going in. Now I think people are very well aware of just how good she can be, and it's a lovely story that she was able to overcome this. Not to mention the stuff that she's had to overcome leading up to this point, dating back to her amateur wrestling days. And of course, we know that Frank is picking Jake Paul, right? That was a big weekend for him.
I mean, it was clearly he wanted to lose.
He wanted to lose.
Yeah.
He was just trying to build the rematch.
He wants to be humbled.
Yeah. And even Chael said it himself. The loss actually makes him better, more intriguing. Lloyd, listening to you and the boys talking about who should Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI fight next got me thinking, in the grand scheme of things, does anyone actually care whatsoever about who they're fighting or where they go next? These fights are basically a money printing exercise for people who already are exorbitantly wealthy. The buildup is the best thing, and after the fight, every single time, everyone just scratches their head and thinks, what was the point in that? Love the show as always. Lloyd from Suffolk, England. I mean, I still think there is some intrigue. And again, maybe it's not our demo. I mean, I talking to my nephews, talking to kids in their teens, they're into all of this. But yes, I mean, I would never in a million years compare the intrigue of that to the intrigue of Jon Jones fighting this weekend, or the intrigue of Bo Nickel, or the intrigue of Shavkat Rakhmonov, or anyone on that card, or the intrigue of, I don't know, the Bellator Lightweight Grand Prix starting next week, things of that nature. But, listen, I like to have fun, different strokes, different folks. I try not to take my life so seriously. They do put on a good show. They do put on a scene, a spectacle. I do think that Jake has earned the respect from the fighting community. He's earned my respect. Tommy has as well. God bless. KSI is doing his thing. They're creating opportunities. I'm not getting too upset. And I do think Jake versus KSI would be a fun spectacle. And as we saw last week, I want the fight to happen so I can do the face-to-face because I beat him in darts. Them's the rules.
Just saying.
Yeah. Our boy Abe. Hello, Ariel. 2 quick ones for me. Firstly, has Darren Till been released from the UFC? If so, what's next for him? Bellator or PFL? Boxing? Wouldn't mind seeing him box Rockhold or Mike Perry, he says. And if he hasn't been released, does he need to do what Anthony Smith did and fight a lower-level guy just to get a win? Secondly, had such a blast watching you and Chael reunite on Monday. Is there any chance this becomes a regular thing again, even if it's just once a month, every 2 months, pre or post each big pay-per-view event? We need more of our own bad guy. Much love, your boy Abe. So yes, everyone went crazy yesterday because I guess it was the UFC roster watch guy that posted that Darren Till had been removed, right?
Yeah, it's correct.
By the way, GC, can you explain this to me? You're much smarter when it comes to all of this. How does that guy get those notifications?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, is it really a thing that he's like tapped into the website, and if they remove someone, he is no. Like,
That's what I think it is, because when they started talking about removing like the automatic posting, he was saying that the account was going to get taken down because of that. So yeah, it has to be tapped into the website, automatically posts it, and yeah, that's how he does it. But I mean, it seems to be an incredible resource.
bizarre. New York Rick says it's a coding thing. I don't know how that works.
It's above my pay grade.
All right, I thought this was right in your wheelhouse.
Just
you thought
imagine if
coding
you
was
had
in my
something
wheelhouse?
reading the page constantly, and if it makes a change, it notifies
No, that's
you.
definitely not.
But what is the thing?
Because it does. It's always the fastest out there.
Right. So it's like reading the HTML.
Someone much smarter right now is just like scoffing at us. not knowing.
I can hear them laughing. In the
Yeah, I
distance.
can too.
Do you think it's a real person running that account, or do you think it's like some sort of bot account?
No, I think it's a real person running it, but they use technology to their advantage.
God bless.
I mean, actually, God bless them. It's a great account.
Yeah, I mean, they break more news than anyone. They legit break more news than
They
anyone.
are the number one
Yes.
newsbreaker in MMA. I'm sitting here talking to number 2. You know?
God, these days, I'm like number 9. In any event, he posted that yesterday, or they posted. Who knows who posted it? Someone posted it from that account. And then Darren Till this morning in the UK tweeted this: "What's happening, everyone? Me, Dana, and Hunter are still cool as fuck. I asked UFC to remove me just to sort some other shit for the foreseeable. They happily agreed to release me out of contract, which I appreciate. I'm not going anywhere. Got big plans to execute, and I'll be back." So there's a lot to decipher here. Clearly, the Roster Watch site was right. He has been removed. He has been released. Now, is he being released because, he's removing himself from the USADA pool? I don't know. Is he being released because they're letting him go out and explore other options? We don't know. It's not very clear when he says, "I'm not going anywhere." Like, does that mean you're coming back to the UFC? If so, why are you asking to be released? If you're not going anywhere, does that mean you're going to pop up on some Game Bread boxing card or some other promotion? I don't know. I really don't. It's all very much up in the air. But what we do know is, as of right this second, Darren Till is no longer a UFC fighter. And that's a little bit shocking. I know the last few results weren't great, but, not that long ago, it looked like he was on this incredible trajectory. What do you think, GC? What do you think this means? I know nothing. I have not talked to Darren.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that he tweeted the boxing emojis. So, I mean, is he going to go do something else while he figures stuff out?
Oh, did he do that?
Yeah, I think he just did.
I see it. Box. Okay, well, there you go. Well, it could be messy. That was 41 minutes ago. How about that?
Yeah, I think he's going by Frank Till on Twitter now. Is that an homage to Mysterious?
I thought so. I didn't want to mention it because I know Frank's weird about that stuff, but that's
Very
what I
weird
saw.
about it, yeah.
Not only does he go by Frank Till, he has
A crypto guy?
Well, the crypto, yes, but his bio is just "I'm Frank."
It's bizarre. I know he's
Yeah, so
a huge
maybe it's
fan.
Like a riot, yeah.
Yeah, I know he's a huge fan. No, they're big on the a picture of a gorilla having taking a bath, or
Yeah, block asset too.
Yeah.
They were big on block asset.
a picture of a kangaroo eating popcorn. That particular one, the kangaroo eating popcorn, $25,000. I was told.
Yeah. I mean, we're close to some people that invested quite a bit of money in that space.
Are we?
Yeah,
Are we allowed to name names?
I mean, TST.
Oh yes, of course.
Relaxing Camel,
Uh,
Caring Camel.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. There's a great one of gorilla having a pizza. It was just an amazing investment. One of the best investments that you can get your hands on.
In the Oculus where I get on the train, right next to the World Trade Center, there's like an NFT art gallery.
Oh, I'm sure it's tremendous. That are people still doing the thing where you buy a digital pack of NBA cards? Like, oh my God.
Top Shot.
Is that still a thing?
I mean, as far as I know, it fell off heavy.
What about the UFC Top Shot when everyone was live tweeting I just got
Hot Strike or whatever?
oh, it was amazing. I just got a shot of Anderson Silva knocking out Stephen Bonner. This is worth millions of dollars. I'm like, really? Because I could go on YouTube right now and watch it over and over again. What is
It felt very flash in the pan. Feels like it's been proven that it was a flash in the pan.
what was a bigger flash in the pan, that or Clubhouse?
God, it had to have been Clubhouse because I don't even know. Clubhouse was such a just blip for 2 seconds,
Everyone
and then it
loved
was gone.
Came at a good time because everyone was home and bored. Sort of do you remember there's a period where you'd go on Instagram and the top where the stories are, everyone was doing an IG live?
Oh,
It was 45 IG lives.
Those were crazy times. About 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it's true. March 11th.
Time flies.
Anyway, yeah, so who knows? I mean, as you just said,
The boxing emoji is pretty.
yeah, but he could just be messing around. But look, the UFC has shown, especially in this world where, they're doing great. They've got this antitrust lawsuit. They're not going to hold guys back who perhaps they feel as though, hey, there's not a lot of money to be made and we're not going to stand in your way as long as you don't go to a Bellator or somewhere like that. And so if he wants to go out and do some boxing, I don't think they view it as direct competition. So let's see what happens. Darren's very anti all the influencer stuff, so I'd be curious to see if he pops up on one of those. Wish him the best. Hopefully he could get back on track, stay healthy, and we'll see. But yeah, as of right now, Darren Till no longer in the UFC, and that is pretty wild. Oh, as for the Chael one, who knows? We'll see what the future holds. Love doing the show with him. Would love to do a show with him in the future. Let's see.
Did you get some pizza with him?
No, I didn't. Oh, I forgot to ask him about that. Let's ask. You mean like the
vodka pizza?
Yeah. I just got a text from Michael Rapaport.
Oh yeah, what'd it say?
You know Michael Rapaport?
Oh yeah.
Remy.
Uh-huh.
You ever see that movie?
No.
Yeah, what did Michael Rapaport
how was the pizza? Michael Rapaport texted Jones and 3. Should we call him on FaceTime right now?
He didn't call you. That's the rule is if he called you, then we have to do it. But
I was just trying to flex it for you guys.
Yeah.
Now, what was his prediction for
Oh my God.
last week's man?
He was hitting me up. He was hitting me up. Oh, not that one. He's very into the whole Jake Paul thing, but anti-Jake Paul. So he was hitting me up constantly about that and then was celebrating afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to
I was
Connor's
hoping
camera.
he was giving you predictions.
Yeah.
Every time, we had an Apex card or something like that. Yeah, shout out to my camera. A lot of people, big fan.
A lot of people talking about it. Yeah.
I mean, it's hot in the streets right now.
Very hot. I mean, he's asking me for my thoughts on the fight. I'm like, bro, I'm live. Like, why aren't you watching the MMA? You know what I mean? Does this constitute, or does it have to be a call, Frank?
It has to be a call.
Has to be a call. Damn it. Cole. Good day, Ariel and crew. Getting straight to the point. Does Venum's women's fight gear need a revision? I don't know. I've seen a couple people complain about it, but I am certainly not the person to really comment on that. What he said,
He could be indisposed.
Doing it, Frank.
Wow.
Let's see. I'm calling Michael Rapaport.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
Old step in the
Well, because I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
By the way, he's a big FaceTime guy. I'm telling you.
So.
No, you. Rapaport, I'm live on the air right now, and we're talking about how offensive it is that you just responded with live on what? You say that you're a big fan of mine. I'm literally live broadcasting to millions of people, and you have no idea what I'm doing. Look at this. I've got a whole studio.
Ariel, you do so many things. I didn't know which platform you were live on. That's the only thing, because I know you got your hand in a gazillion things. Who knows what you're doing at what point? We never know.
Okay, fair enough.
First of all, the studio looks great. When am I going to get an invitation there? It looks fantastic.
You want to come in studio?
Anytime, man. I love your show.
Oh, I love that. We're right in New York City, just like you, Financial District.
I will be there next week to discuss Jon Jones winning in three rounds.
That's the prediction. Jon Jones in 3?
Jones in 3, and I will come to New York, and the loser of our bet will get the other person coffee.
Deal. Next week, I'll hit you up on the side. You're in studio, sitting right over there.
Oh, that's an iconic studio. It's beautiful in there. Listen, Ariel, I know you're live, and I don't want to flood you with compliments. I love your shows. I love your takes. I love your guests. You get the best interviews from everybody. This might not be one of the best interviews of everybody.
No, this is big.
But aside from this one, they're always the best.
Thank you, Mike. Much love. I'll hit you up. We'll see you in studio next week.
Jones in 3. I get Ventis and Trenti lattes.
Love it. All right, my man. Thank you. There he is, Michael Rapaport, a.k.a. Remy of Higher. How about that? Am I cool or what, Frank?
I mean, that was quite the flex.
Was that cool?
Yeah.
Just me and Mike coming in studio. Are you a fan?
I am, yeah.
Didn't sound like you were a big fan.
I'm a
when you
huge
said
fan
that.
because I don't remember the one character from Higher
Remy,
Learning.
Higher Learning.
That movie was a little,
What a
off
guy.
the beaten path.
Higher Learning, no
I think
joke.
our generation, it was pretty big.
One of my
but-
favorite movies of all time. Anyone in
Really?
that control room seen Higher Learning? Have you seen it, GC?
No, I was just loving this game.
Have you seen the program?
Never even heard of
The
it.
program's great.
The program's good. Which one would you take, Higher Learning or the program? I think Higher Learning is just like a heavy movie.
By the way,
man.
Higher Learning, top 10 favorite movies of all time for me.
Best soundtrack. You got
Really?
that Rage Against the Machine in there.
Oh, I love
remember?
it. So many famous people in that. Him, Mekhi Phifer, Busta Rhymes,
Right.
Lawrence Fishburne. There's a bunch. And then
Heavy subject matter.
heavy subject matter. And there's
I was
also
a
like
kid.
a prime, like 22, 21-year-old Tyra Banks, like in her prime. She's the love interest, right? You remember the closing scene with the gun? I don't
Yeah.
want to spoil it for
No, I mean,
anyone.
it's yeah.
Crazy stuff. Anyway, couldn't recommend it enough. Venom gear. You know what? Next time we don't have any female fighters on today. I don't think Luciana is the best to discuss that. Although I think is the Octagon girl outfit a Venom gear? Not the same. Anyway, we'll ask them. This weekend's card features 6 undefeated prospects. Which do you believe has the most promise for their division as it stands? All right, who are the 6? I know Shavkat would be one. Wait, let me look at this. Bo Nickel would be another one. Ian Gary would be one. Okay, let's go from the bottom here. Esteban Ribovic would be one. Farid Basrat would be 2. Cameron Simon would be 3. Ian Gary would be 4. Bo 5. And then Shavkat. I'd say either Bo or Shavkat. I don't think that's much of a hot take. The undefeated fighters are as follows. Oh, I should have just read that. It's the next line. Golly. Cleveland Steven. Ariel, what a performance on the dartboard last week versus KSI. Not a lot of fanfare for my drubbing of Chael Sonnen, but I thought that was equally impressive. But I know what you're talking about. The bullseye, back against the wall. Let's go. The people are still buzzing about the clutch gene you seemingly dropped on his forehead. I've been clutch, all right? I don't think you guys realize that. Want to acknowledge it. I've been clutch. I have 2 under-the-radar questions about 285. What do you think about Cody Garbrandt's return to 135? I mean, it's a big one. He's a favorite going into this fight. Cody Garbrandt's still so young, just 31 years old. And again, as I've said before, the Cody Garbrandt that fought Dominic Cruz at UFC 207, I know it's now 6.5 years ago. Where did that guy go? Can he be brought back? Following that fight, 2 losses to TJ Dillashaw, 1 to Pedro Munoz, beat Rafael Sunsao. We thought that was the one that brings him back. Lost to Font, lost to Kai Kai France. Never loved the move to 25 for him. Never loved it. But maybe he comes back and gets a win. Like the matchup, Trevin Jones, the kind of guy he should be fighting right now, build himself back up. So yes, I'm very interested in the fight and seeing if he can turn back the clock. Previous fights recently would suggest it's going to be tough, but maybe there's been enough time, and certainly back at 35 is better. He's only a 170 minus 170 favorite. I mean, I think it's good that he's a favorite. Could he possibly get cut after another loss? That'd be 3 in a row, maybe 1 more. I think Geoff Neal's a live underdog, even at near plus 400 odds. I wish there were odds for picking fight of the night. What are the chances you and the boys in the back give him to pull off the upset? GC, what do you think? Shavkat, Geoff Neal?
Yeah, I mean, Geoff Neal obviously has a chance. If I'm going to pick the fight, though, I'm taking Shavkat Rakhmonov.
I think as far as main card is concerned, like the best H-Dow.
We're going back to the H-Dow?
I mean, people have been asking for it.
Have they?
Yeah.
All right.
Jalen Turner,
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
plus 145.
Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's not 145 anymore. I'm
Oh.
get it for like 180,
Whoa.
75. Yeah.
Interesting. Garbrandt super tough.
Super.
Super tough. Can grind it out, but Turner is...
Short notice, though.
Yep.
I don't know if that's going to matter.
Not
Feels like
what is it,
Gambrat
3
stays
weeks
in-
notice. Not exactly Andrade Blanchfield.
Yeah.
But yes, I would pick Shavkat as well. Gilbert, good day, Heel Wani. I just want to put out a couple of qualifiers before my question. I'm a fan of Chael Sonnen's, and I've been for quite a long time. I've always enjoyed the love-hate relationship you guys share. 99% of the time, it comes across as love with a little bit of teasing, but my goodness, he was in rare form. It was honestly beginning to not be funny, but rather annoying. I guess what I want to ask is, as a loyal friend like yourself, does it ever bother you a little when DC refuses to hug you, but bro hugs RC? Does it bug you at all when Chael is just in insult mode and nonstop devil's advocate? Lastly, was there anything he said before or after to indicate that he was joking? Not calling for a 10-7, just curious for your genuine feelings when friends act weird like this. Thank you. Love from Kansas City, Gilbert Hill. First of all, as far as like the DC thing is concerned, to me, that's true love. Like the fact that he feels comfortable enough not hugging me, and that, you know, you bro hug the guys that you're not really that comfortable with, if you know what I'm saying. So that doesn't bother me. That's Chael, but the Chael you see here isn't the Chael that's hanging out back there. Totally different guy. I've talked about this. On the road, very introverted, likes to stay in the room, likes to order a movie, likes to have his wife pack his clothes and, you know, order room service. Orders the movie, by the way, off the TV, not on a tablet. Like, he's just old school like that. Now, are there periods in the interview where I'm like, I want that Chael to come out? Yes, that's what I was trying to do. And we got it at the end when I was talking about like our friendship and even talking about the show, because in the early days of Ariel and the Bad Guy, he was very confrontational towards me. And I think part of it was he was always used to the relationship where it was just me asking him questions. They didn't want that. They wanted both of us to weigh in. And I think that annoyed him. And we got through it and everything was okay. But there were times where I genuinely felt like he was getting mad at me. But he's a great friend. He's a loyal friend. And if that's the way he wants to be on the show, I have no problem with it. Do I not want him to maybe say things that aren't true on the show? Sure. But as long as I don't co-sign them, I think I'm okay. So, you know, he gets amped. He gets fired up. The veins start bulging out. He gets just, you know, fired up. And that's who he is. So I'm okay with it. But those two guys are, I mean, legitimately like two of my best friends in life. Like, I think that there is not a jealous bone in their bodies towards me. All support, all love. And so I am completely okay with the relationship. Mario from Ontario. We had big wins this past weekend from Canadians Mike Malott and Yasmin Yasidavicius. How about that, Frank? I've been practicing.
You did a really good job.
Thanks. And their passionate post-victory callouts for the UFC to return to Canada seem to have added some momentum to bring a card north of the border. Dana confirmed in the presser that returning to Canada is a priority for the organization. The interesting thing is that while this is certainly not a golden era of Canadian MMA, we're in a better spot now with fighters with more recognition than perhaps back in 2020, 2022. Charles Ayer Jourdain, always a lock for fireworks. Helwani lookalike Ayman Zahabi. Malott 2-0 in the welterweight division. Yasidavicius. Jillian Robertson, Tanner Boser, Malcolm Gordon, Marc-André Barriot, Johan Lainez, Hakeem Dawoudou, Kyle Nelson. Yes, on and on it goes. Do you think the UFC will approach it like they did with Australia, get as many of these Canadian fighters on the card, or they book it like a typical fight night? No, I think the former. I think they will load it up with Canadians. We're missing that title contender is the problem. We're missing that Volk, if you will. Even though he's not a contender, he's a champ, but you get what I'm saying. But nevertheless, yeah, it's getting better. It's getting much better, and we have some in Bellator as well, right? Aaron Jeffrey and the other members of the Canadian top team. Logan, hello, Ariel. Hope that you are doing well with the UFC heavyweight belt on the line this weekend. I was wondering if you had any updates on the status of the true heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou. Will he be boxing in his next fight? Will he fight anytime soon? Thanks, Logan. There's a second one here regarding Francis, so let me read it as well. John in HB, perhaps that's Huntington Beach. Hi, basement dweller. If you're Ngannou's manager, he doesn't really have one, but I get what you're saying. Do you demand that he attend this weekend's fight in person with his belt in tow? And have you heard any rumors that it might happen? Would be great theater. I don't think he's showing up. I don't think he wants that type of... Listen, if I'm Francis, I keep that door open. I don't try to slam that door because guess what? Jon Jones wins. He beats Stipe. You go out, have a boxing fight. UFC will come back and try to make this fight. So there's no reason to torch that bridge. He's handling it pretty damn well. So no, I don't think that's necessary. We all know the score. We all know what's up. As far as an update on him, still not 100%, still weighing his options. Hopefully we see him, I don't know, summer, fall. If I had to bet, MMA is involved, but I think everything's on the table. And I would, I would implore any promoter out there to take your best shot. I don't think there's a front runner. I don't think there's a sure thing. Hit him with your best shot. So that's pretty much the update. Caleb, happy on the nose day, Ariel and team. And by the way, I also want to say, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Getting to it, sorry.
It's what we call a pregnant pause.
Yeah. Happy St. David's Day to all my friends in Wales.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a
What's
lot
your
of friends.
favorite city in Wales?
Oh, Cardiff. I was just there.
That's cool.
You tried to stump me.
I tried to get you to say one of the funky ones, but
No, I was literally just there in September.
so it's your favorite,
No, but I have a lot of love for the Welsh people, of course. Leader of Nottingham Forest, Stevie Cooper. Of course, Brendan Johnson, my favorite player. Of course, Jack Tank Shore. His father, Shaky Shore. I mean, it's just a bunch of legends. Anyway, great to see Chael and you in person. Would be surprised if Schultze gets a whole sentence in throughout their entire segment. On to my question. If you look at all the other sports league, there are very large departments when it comes to scouting / player evaluation in terms of building a roster. If you view all the MMA promotions as different teams, do they follow this similar concept, or does each promotion just use their top 1 to 2 executives to do all the scouting of fighters or finding talent in similar promotions, or through college sports like Bo Nickel? Feel like they should follow the model of other sports organizations, even though they technically don't have teams, but are instead a whole promotion or league. Couldn't agree more. I've said this. The promotions usually have a system where it's like a matchmaker or two. They might have an assistant or two. As far as the UFC is concerned, it's really just Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard that do the signing. Obviously, when it comes to like a Michael Chandler or Hunter Campbell is going to be involved. Obviously, when there's, a Jones, Connor, Dana might get involved. But again, it's really Hunter Campbell. I have often said there should be scouts. I remember talking to Joe Silva where he would say, like, people just send me tapes and I have to watch them. Like, it would be VHS back in the day, then it would be YouTube clips. So there isn't a system like, the Dodgers will have some scout in the Dominican Republic, and then they'll have a guy, follow other teams on the road, or, be in Japan or something like that. It's not really like that, to be honest. And when you're the big dog, it doesn't necessarily need to be like that. But you'd be surprised how small the staffs are, how, the crews are very skeleton-like. Like it's 1 or 2 people. There's not a whole massive team of people. And I think that would be a very interesting concept. Maybe there just isn't enough out there to warrant it, but I've often thought that the UFC should have more people out there. But hey, it seems to be working, so all good. Chris, hi Ariel and team. Unusual question for you. Why in the MMA community, when you disagree with an opinion, you get immediately labeled as a casual? What's so wrong with being a casual MMA fan too? I mean, it's sort of like, people who are hardcore fans of a band, and they're like, that's our band, and we were watching them when they were playing, bingo halls, and now they're playing MSG, and we liked it better when they were in the bingo hall. And people are very territorial when it comes to that. I think all of that is nonsense. Like GC, you're a newer fan. Do you ever get called a casual?
Surprisingly, no. But I mean,
it's really incredible that you bypassed that whole.
I feel like there's plenty of moments where people could be like, "Dude, you're a casual."
I mean, it's amazing that no one actually says that to you.
All right. Well, the one argument that I'll make in that point, I think, I think I'm open about being a newer fan. And 2,
but you don't have casual takes.
Yeah,
so that's the problem.
Right, I like that. Well, I was going to say 2, I am not a casual now. I watch every single fight, every single week.
You watch more than me, probably.
On UFC, 1, KSW, Bellator. Right now, I am not a casual. In the broad spectrum, I definitely am. I am a later fan.
Yeah. I've been watching basketball, for example, since like 1988. When I was a kid, it was my favorite sport. I say things out, and I sort of lean into the crazy fan shtick, but like I get things now like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I've actually played basketball. I've actually coached high school basketball, and I get, you have no idea what you're talking about. So people are very quick, I think, in all facets of the internet to call you out, to say, stick to this, you're a casual in that. In MMA, I think just the vernacular is you're a casual, but.
I, for one, have noticed just how smart everyone is on the internet about
Wow.
what a good round is, what a fair decision is. Like, I'm just always open-jawed. Like, wow, like people really know what they're talking about.
Wow.
Like, you're a casual, bro.
I wear that proudly.
Ryan asks, "Hi Ariel, what's your favorite color in the rainbow?" It's a weird one. I'm a big fan of pink, yellow, but is pink in the rainbow? I don't think so. No.
Red, orange, yellow, blue.
Yeah.
Green,
actually,
indigo, violet.
The GOAT, as far as moderating is concerned, moderator Lewis, provided me a picture of the rainbow, and I ignored also, I'm colorblind, so I can't really tell everything in there. Like, what's the third one? Is that green?
No, that's yellow.
Who knows? Well, I'm talking about from the bottom.
Well, why would... Okay.
Anyway, I guess I like the dark blue there.
The indigo?
Yellow? I mean, what is this question?
It's either indigo or yellow.
This is a silly question. Alex, without getting too technical, and of course, this should not be considered financial advice, with all you know about the UFC and Endeavor as a whole, will you buy or sell their stock? I guess buy. I don't know. I'm not a big stock guy, but they're doing big things. They had a great year. Seems like bigger things are coming. David, good day, MMA Hour crew. Ariel, regarding Nathan, a boxing match with one of the Pauls is the only other thing outside of the UFC that makes sense. But how long does Nate continue to be sidelined? With Jake, I feel like the timing is a little better, but the intrigue kind of died when he lost, and Logan seems a little more logical at the moment, but the timing seems to be iffy as Logan is going to be tied up with WWE. No, because he's got WrestleMania and then he's good afterwards. Like, I could see this fight happening in June, July, August range. His deal with WWE isn't to be on every card, so he could do that. And I'm sure WWE would be happy. This would only be good for them because then he comes back to them. So this, I mean, everyone wins. I know he fought hard to get out, but the Dustin fight just seems to be what makes the most sense. He's not taking that yet. As of right now, I say he fights Logan Paul, Summer, and then sees what's out there. Is it Conor? Is it another boxing match? Does Jake win and then he fights him? Who the hell knows? He's going to make a lot of money. Don't worry about him. Rich, hello, Ariel. Did you see the photo of McGregor and Wonder Boy? Conor looks massive. What does a win at 170 against Chandler do for McGregor? Chandler's not a welterweight, but would McGregor beating him at 170 give him an argument for the welterweight title shot? Would love to hear GC and New York Rick's opinion as well. By the way, I did see the photo. The thing that always strikes me about Conor, his freaking hands are gigantic. You ever notice that? Like, his fist is the size of my head. His fists are gigantic. He's not a huge guy. I know now he looks bigger, but always, even dating back to the featherweight days, like when he would do the fist, it huge. Like, I'm looking at the picture here. His fist compared to Wonder Boy's fist, it looks like it's twice the size. Anyway, if Conor beats Chandler, he will be in talks for a title shot. There is no doubt. Unless it's a Diaz fight. And it would be at 55 or 70. No doubt about it in my mind. No doubt about it. I mean, he fought Cerrone and he was in talks for a title shot. And then they went the Dustin route, but that would not shock me. Ariel, long time no see, my man. Shout out to the 4 words back in your lives. Oh, this is from Shirt Guy Lee, legend. He used to show up to all the events and have crazy shirts and would give me some. A real OG fan. I've enjoyed hearing them for over 10 years. Back in your life. I'm always curious if you ever thought about taking calls from the fans again on the show, like back in the old show days. I know you did a bit of this on the pre-fight radio broadcast, but what factors would lead to a yes or no decision for it to happen live on the MMA Hour? Yes, back in the old days, I don't know if you know this, guys, we used to take phone calls. This is back in the AOL days, pre-New York Rick. Yes. And it was okay, and we even did it with fans. I'm pretty sure Dana was on one time, and we took calls with him. That's how long ago it was. But it kind of slows things down, and the issue is sometimes you can get some clunkers. So I think this is the best way to do it because you can get the best questions and answer them. You don't hear your voice, but I think this might be the best way to do it. So I don't see that happening anytime soon.
How about like a voicemail check?
Yeah, I could do that.
Just so people can get their voice heard, you know.
They get their voice heard here. I'm reading their questions.
Did you just hit your laptop?
I totally just hit it.
Very excited about this.
Thanks for all the great work and the weekly Content. P.S. Even though I don't watch wrestling, I loved seeing you live it up in Montreal. Oh, yes. Thank you. Long live Ariel and the Bad Guy, your longtime pal, Shirt Guy Lee. Your Rick tells me that we did calls in the Vox era too. How about that?
We did calls on ESPN Radio when you did.
We did. You were there, right?
Oh, yeah. People would cuss. We'd have to dump it.
At any point, did you ever say did you ever produce one of the shows with Steve-O on them on the radio?
I want to say that I did, yeah.
Such a mistake to have him on a radio format, because there was one time in particular where I booked him in the Hard Out segment, which I didn't know about, where you have to get to the damn commercial, and he was just going on and we had to cut him mid-sent. I couldn't get in.
It's great stuff. Shout out to the Hard Out.
This is why podcasts are better, or whatever this is.
Yeah,
streaming.
No question.
Kane Sommerfeld. I might be the first question from Saskatchewan. If you feature me this week, my question is for the production team. Why did the clips become available for download before the full show? I work night shift and often without cell service, and it really bugs me when I can't download the episode before I go to work. Cheers to the whole crew of the best MMA podcast on the internet. Oh yeah, didn't want to make it too long, but the segments just don't cut it. They leave out the transitional commentary. What is he talking about? I don't even understand. Why did the clips become available for download before the full show? Oh, is he saying that the breakout clips you can download and you can't download the full show?
Right.
What, you can download clips off the YouTube page?
Well, he's like, you can access them. Yeah.
But the
It
full
makes
show
sense because the breakouts are done sometimes concurrently with the show, and then the show has to process afterward.
I don't understand the question though.
Yeah.
Do you understand it, GC?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's saying that like the individual clip of the interview is up before the full show is.
But the full show is up right away. I do see sometimes on the YouTube, why can't I download it? And I don't even understand what they're talking about. I didn't know you can download things on YouTube. Is that like a YouTube Red thing?
No,
because I have it and you can't do that. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I mean,
you don't know what you're talking about.
Us in the control room we are not the ones.
Yes, we're not the ones who do that. Maybe someone can chime in on the...
Shout out to MMA Fighting, you know.
Yeah,
what
was that?
Chime in.
Must have been Rick knocking at the door or something.
Rick, is that you?
I guess that's his entry, you know.
No, all right.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, this is not my domain, but I'll look into it. And if you want the full thing to be downloadable, then we'll figure that out. Nathan, Ariel, question for you and the crew. How do you enjoy a fight when you can't stand the thought to see either fighter losing? I've always had a rooting interest for one particular fighter, but Cheeto, Sandhagen are two of my favorites. I'm struggling with the idea of watching it. I say just embrace it. Just freaking embrace it. Just hope for the best. Hope no one gets injured. Better to have someone that you despise, right? And then they win and then you feel kind of shitty. But yeah, that is up there with one of those types of fights. I couldn't agree more. It's tough, but it's going to happen. Daniel, hey, Ariel, really enjoyed Chael's appearance on Monday's show. He's the Robin Williams to your David Letterman. Wow, what a compliment. For my question, your essay that you wrote and narrated for the WWE was great. Any more forays into writing in the works beyond the forthcoming Highway to Helwani, of course? All the best to you and the boys in the back. Yeah, you know, we're dabbling. Things pop up. The beauty of independent Helwani is that we do these things. Is that we're able to do these things. One-offs here, one-offs there, opportunities here, pop up here, do a thing on DAZN there, do a thing for Showtime here, BT there. So yes, I love that. Now Shaheen says, full show is always available. That's how people are watching it live. Not sure what the fellow's talking about. I think that they're talking about downloading it off of YouTube with YouTube Premium.
I don't think you could just download it off of YouTube Premium.
Yeah, you definitely can't.
You have to use another app.
Guillermo says YouTube Premium, I can download videos to watch offline.
No.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like within the app, sort of like a like an Amazon Prime or like an HBO Max. Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant directly download the file to your computer. Okay, yeah, Brazilian Beast.
I also understand now.
Yeah, like
yes, yeah.
I wanted to watch the KSI doc on Amazon Prime, but on the plane, I downloaded it and then I was able to get it.
Within the, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
So I'm not, so not really sure, but we'll see if we can make that happen for you. All right, here's the last one. Joe, hey, Ariel. The unified rules of MMA prioritize effective grappling and striking, effective aggressiveness, and effective fighting area control in that order, or fighting area control. Effective striking is detailed as, I mean, this is such a long question. Legal blows that have immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of the match with the immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative impact. Cumulative. Note that the word damage doesn't even appear. And then somewhere along the line, the UFC decided they love the word damage. Seeing as damage is not only subjective. Hate it. I hate when people talk about damage. This isn't a video game where there's like a meter over there and you're like, oh, look at the damage. It's at -5 now. It doesn't work that way. But sometimes isn't even casually linked to the 3 criteria. Why have we allowed the UFC to redefine the rules simply because they wanted to? It's not only the UFC, by the way. Andy Foster has used that word. Mark Goddard has used that word. John McCarthy. Like a lot of people use that word. I think it's maybe their way of summarizing it. I don't know. The definition of effective striking is sufficient, and not all effective striking / grappling ends in visible damage. Visible, quote unquote, being important because short of an obvious reaction from a fighter, you can't see some types of damage being inflicted. I think this issue has been missed and parroted by the MMA community without ever asking where it started. What do you think? Love your work. It's true. It's a great point. Why does everyone fixate on the word damage? It's a great point. Listen, it speaks to the larger issue. It's very hard to judge fights. The criteria is very subjective. It's very vague. It's hard to, to really understand what these guys are looking for, or gals. And that's why sometimes we see these really, really close fights, the Islam Volk fights, the Gordon Patty fights, and a ton of others. It happens almost every month. And that will continue to happen. It starts with the 10-point must system. That's a tough model to adapt to MMA. And then it continues with the actual criteria, which is super subjective. In basketball, I know if I score more baskets than my opponent, I win. In football, I know if I score more points, touchdowns, field goals than my opponent, I win. In soccer, I know if the ball goes in the net. In fighting, and especially in MMA, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to score a boxing match than an MMA fight. It's super subjective because you have things like effective striking. Why do I keep having trouble with that word? Effective striking / grappling, effective aggressiveness, fighting area control. It's like all super subjective. There's no way to actually monitor it the same as everyone else. So, yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying.